Hello buddies and welcome back to this masterclass for the beginners in C programming language. It's your guy once again, the Wolf, and today guys we are going to learn about arrays. And in the previous lessons we have learned about for loops, and we used something like break and also continue. But of today is a new day, brand new day. Let's start to do with these arrays and learn something about it. And that's it, let's get started. Okay, welcome once again. So we will start off by defining what arrays are. So arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable. So if you want to have so many items in a single variable, the only way you can go is to use an array, not just like a common variables. So if you want to store a lot of items in a single variable, just go for variables. So instead of declaring separate variables for each values, so to create an array, define the data type that you want. For example, you can want an int type or the string. So you need to specify the name of the array followed by the square bracket. And then, so to insert the value to it, you will use a comma separated list inside the curly braces and make sure all values are of the same data type. So we will start off by creating this value here. And I'll start by doing this symbol as this. So I'll click on console and then click go, and then I click next, and then C, not C++. Remember I'm using code block here. You can use Visual Studio because that is what normally everybody use, and it's so easy to cooperate things over there to work with it. But for us, the legends, the old way school, we go for this. So I'll just call it, okay, because we are learning about array. Let me just write arrays, and then from here I click next, and then I click finish, just like that. So if I click on my right side here, I have the class that is being generated by default. You can see here, and if I run this, it's going to create hello world. Okay, so let me just create an int type here, a variable here in this main class. And remember, these are just import that we normally import to use. These are the headers. So if you don't have any clue what those are, you can go back to my previous classes, especially the introduction classes lessons. You can find this. Okay, let me just hit here and then hit enter and then create an int type. I need so I'm creating an array and I need an array of int type. So I'm just calling these numbers because I need an array of numbers. So I can have multiple numbers here, integers, and then I can put an equal sign. So to assign, to put items in this array, remember you must put these square brackets to create an array. So you can have a name that you want, and you define it, specify it to be an int type or string or a byte or whatever, or float, whatever you want. So, but for now, I'm just creating an array of numbers. So this is equals to, so to put items, you put curly braces. So shift on PC like that, and then you have those curly braces. So you can have n numbers in there. You can have 2, any number. You can have 9, you can have 22, you can have 45, or you can have 70, whichever number that you want to have. And then remember to close this with semicolon. And then from here, what we have now here, what we have created here is an array of numbers. Yeah, so this array actually is holding how many numbers? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's holding 4 integers. So how can we access the element of an array? So to access an array element, we refer to an index, because now these one are arranged in an index format. So if we put 0 index, we would normally have the first element here, and then number 1 will be the second item in this array. So an array index starts with 0 and is the first element, as I've already said, and then number 1 is the second element in the etc. So this statement accesses the values, the value of the first element, which will be, for example, if we wanted to access this, I just put an index of 0 in my variable here. So let's do it and find out. Okay, so let me do this. Let me just, first of all, let me just print this. So to do this, remember you need to use a specify a format here. So I'm just going to use this because this is our digits or integer. I'll just put a percentage d or I for an integer, and then put a comma here. And then now you can print this array here. Control copy. Then I paste in here, just like that. And then I specify by putting using an index, because I just want to print a specific item in that array. So we'll start from 0, which will give the first item, which will be 2. And if I press 1 here, I'll get 9. We can try that out. So let me just run this. So to run this, you just click over here and then hit run. It seems that this project has not been built. Okay, so I can click on this, build and run. So it's running. You can see down here the terminal is running, and then boom, there we go. We have 2 here. You can see that we have 2 here, and that is the first index in that array. So the next thing that I want to do is to change an array element in this array list. So to change the value of a specific element, we refer to the index again. So we will still use an index, and to do that is simple. So you need to, okay, let me just have something like this. Again, okay, have this number here. I can come down and copy this, because now I need to change something, right? I need to change an array element. So let me just change maybe 22, this one here. So you need to copy this array, and if you're so quick in typing, you can type it. You don't need to really copy. So Control V on PC, and then I just want to change index, let's say 3, which is 2. This is index 0, 1, 2. So let's change index 2 here. So I put it to here, which will be the third item in this. So in this one, I just want to put an equal sign, because this is how you assign. So let me just change it. Just say, hold on, I don't know, maybe that what that one is old. So let me just maybe just do that numbers, and then so I'm going to replace this 22. So if I print out, if I come back here and then print index this, so I'm going to print index 2. Index 2 should give us that one, right? So let me just cancel this terminal first of all, so I can display out and then run it again. And there, boom, you see that one. Again, we can change the index. Maybe let's put index 0 here, and the actual index 0 represents 2. So again, if I run this, look what I got. Look what I got here. Boom, 22. So you see, I've just replaced that. Okay, so let's see on how we can look through an array. So for example, we don't have all the elements printed them out. So we need to use a for loop to get all the elements and maybe do something with it, or we just want to loop through them all. So you can look through an array element with a for loop, and let's do this one example to put all elements in this array that we have, this array of a number. So to do that again, we need to create, now let me just have an integer value here, and I call it iterator, which is I. So I can come down, let me just remove this first of all. From here now I can create a for loop. Remember, we have used a for loop in the previous lesson, so we can use them to loop through an arrays. So okay, So in this for loop, I just want to have this integer I here, which will be 0 initially, and then I will just say I leave a condition. This is the condition now. This is creating a value, and now condition is I is less than, let's say, how many are they? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So when you're sure of this, you can use such as straightforward way. So I can say when I is less than 5. So we will continue looping through. We will start by 0. So we will say I is equal to 0. So since the condition now is while I is less than 5, continue printing until I is equal to 5. So because when it will be equal to 5, we'll have looped through all the element here. And to continue that looping, we need to put an increment. We need to increment I, so that every time it loops, it increments I by 1, the second time 2, the third time 3, and then till it comes 5, and then we jump off the loop and we have all the elements. So in the printing here, we can have that I now. So it's simple, you just change these to I. So every time I is 0, we print. When I is 1, we print until we finish the loop. So let me just run this again. There we go. So there's something went wrong here. We need to print all the numbers. I think I've mistaken somewhere. Okay, so I'll just say, so we have our number, right? So I is equal to 0, and then comma I is equal to less than 5, comma, then increment that. Oh, okay, I need to, let me just put this in a new line. Then let me see my number. Let me just, return should be out of the, I should get this. Now the problem is this one here. I should have this down here. So this print should be cut from there to get in a for loop. I did not close them in a for loop. I think now it should work, right? It should work, except okay, let me just run it. I guess it should work. I don't know why it should work. Okay, it's okay. Let me run this and see whether there is an error. Yeah, there we go. So we have all the numbers printed out. So we can see we can use a for loop to get all the elements from the array list. So let's see finally about list. Let's check on how to set an array size. So another common way to create an array is to specify the size of the array and add element later. So we can have a specified, we can have an array that is that have specific size, so not like this one here. So to do that, we need to create an array. Let me just delete all this. Let's see if I do that. And okay, so we will start off by creating an int type here. Okay. So let me declare an array of a 4 integer, and I can comment out that I'm creating an array of 5 integers, right? From here now, let me just create an array here and specify the numbers that I'm going, the number of items that I'm going to have in that array. So let me just call it my numbers, or just call it nums. And this array should have like 5 items. So this is specifying exact number of an array items that I need to have. So let me just add some item in it. So to add item in this, copy this, paste, and then have it like this. So in array position 0, index 0, I'll have, and let me say 20, and put a comma, so you can copy this because I need to have 5 of them. Control copy, and if I have 6 of them, I think the 6th is not going to be read. So the 4, 5, right? So this should be index 1, index 2, index 3, index 4, right? Okay, and then from here now I just want to have, let's change this to, let's say 25. Let's have this, it's maybe 60, maybe 100 here, maybe let's have 300 here, right? So in this now I can print, let's click print function, and in this print function I just have specify format here, so it should be percentage d in a new line, and then now I can have my nums, so num0, control copy, so it have a comma here, not there, not even here, I made a mistake here, it should be here, and then my num there, so I can have the 0 here. So you see, this is how we normally add items in an array. So okay, so before I run this, when we use this method, we usually you should know the numbers of array element in advance in order for the program to store enough memory. So we need to create this so that it can have to create that. So you are not able to change the size of the array after creation. After we have created this, you cannot change the size of this array. So let's run this and see what we have. Now it's running down here, and there is an error saying error expected. This is an assembly all attribute before nums. Okay, I did not put a comma here. This was the problem. Yeah, let's run it again. Yeah, it's running now. So you can see we have 20, which was the first. We can have index 4 here. Let's have index 4, or we can have 5, something which is not there. What error should we get? Maybe we should get nothing. We have this number. It's printed. I think this is the location. I'm very sure. So, but if there's an error down here, so let me just maybe 4. So with 4 we should have 300, right? So this is how we add items in an array. So you cannot create more than this because this is how we define the memory, so that the program can know the memory that you should create before starting running or adding the items. Okay. Again, let's see finally what we should do here is so lastly, guys, you should know that you should avoid, how can you avoid mixing data type? So it's important to note that all elements in an array must be of the same data type. This means you cannot mix different types of value like integers and floating points, numbers in the same array. You cannot do that. For example, I cannot add, if I have an array like this one, let's say this is an array, right, of which is it, and we have element like let's do, okay, we cannot do this. Let me just use this example here because of time. So let's say we have 25 or 24 and then comma, we cannot have 3.67. We cannot have that because you have mixed. That will raise an error automatic. So this kind of example, the value like 3.67, and let's say if we had another one like 4.22, will be truncated to 3 and 5. In some cases, it might also result in an error, so it's important to always make sure that the elements in the array are of the same type. So guys, thank you so much for the class of today, and if you find this useful, kindly hit the the subscription down there, and yeah, that's it. Thank you so much, and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.